It's proof that you have pure white walls, which we think is actually
Bullish
very
sign.
bullish for founders. We've seen a consistent tie-in between crazy things being built and nothing on people's walls.
Well, yeah, Jess, Josh, it's really nice to meet you both.
Yeah, likewise, man. It's been a long time. I've been wanting to chat. So excited we're finally making this happen. So you're the co-founder of Euphoria, which is really a product inventing a new way to trade derivatives through kind of a pretty novel tap trading interface.
Mm-hmm.
So the header of your manifesto says they made it work. We made it fun. It's time to feel something. So I'm curious what like personal or market experiences inspired this shift towards trading designed for like joy and emotional engagement versus,
Yeah, sure.
the traditional experiences. Yeah.
At the risk of getting like a little too philosophical, I think where we are now is kind of the culmination of hundreds of years of development in the derivative space. So you look back at the earliest days of derivatives, like 500 years ago, it was Japanese rice futures. They had purely practical purposes, like some real world utility. And then that persisted for a few hundred years. And then companies started to get involved in derivatives and they became a vehicle for speculation. So we had shares, we had, double derivatives, even all kinds of things that corporations and companies would speculate on. And then about 30 years ago, there started to be more and more ways for retail to get involved in derivatives. But when retail got involved, again, it was purely for functional or speculative purposes. And I think another shift, almost the final form factor of derivatives, has happened in the last 2 or 3 years, which is a move into, I'd say, pure abstraction. So derivatives as a consumer experience, where it's no longer about speculation. It's no longer even about wealth generation. It's about almost like theme park ride design. It's about taking the user through emotional highs and lows, through giving them a social experience, through like making them, feel the full spectrum of emotions. And in a way, it's a form of art at this point. And that is, I guess, like crazy to some people, but that's kind of a core thesis behind Euphoria, that we've arrived at a point in time where derivatives are a work of art. We consider ourselves to be artists in this new art form. And we hope that we won't be the last.
I mean, that's going to be an incredible clip. I know
I love that
already.
Like, derivatives are the new art form. That's amazing.
Yeah, let's go. The risk of being too philosophical. I'm like, yes, go. I like this.
Well, I did meet my co-founder at a philosophy conference, actually.
Really? What was the conference? Give us more. That seems like incredible lore.
Yeah, it was in at DevCon in Bangkok, and I was invited to a philosophy conference on gambling and speculation, and it was being hosted by a bunch of people who worked in infrastructure. So basically everyone there was very like anti-gambling, anti-speculation. And I was friends with all of the organizers and they knew that I was, a little bit sort of out there in my beliefs compared to them. So I was brought to the conference as the pro-gambling guy, like pro-gambling, pro-speculation, and willing to argue these points on stage. And so I got up there on a panel and it was very hostile. I was sort of arguing that, we should respect human agency above all else. I can go skydiving and risk my life and risk leaving my kids without a father. And people will say that's cool, but why is it, suddenly bad if I'm going to go to the casino and only risk money? Like, where's the role of, why aren't we treating people as people with agency first and foremost? And everyone kept bringing the conversation back to, but if you build these things, children will start using it. And I said, fine, okay. After about 10 minutes of this, I got sick of it. And I said, if you want me to steelman the case of gambling for kids, I will. Look, if you're 60 years old, you're gambling and you lose all of your money, your life is over. You've lost your house, your car, your marriage. Like, it's just gone. If you're 16 and you lose all your money gambling, the next day you can start again. And if you turn 18 and you've gone, bankrupt 10 times, you're actually going to have a better future because of it. Those are formative life experiences. So it's less dangerous for kids to gamble than old people. That was not well received by the audience.
I would have loved to be in that room because I think respecting agency is like the absolute core of my belief around all this sort of stuff.
I think Mary had a great tweet the other day where she was like, our great grandfathers were going to war at 20 and you're scared to bet money on something you believe in. Come on.
I also think that, you said that it's sort of part of the ethos of crypto itself in a way. And I agree with that. I think we've lost that a little bit in recent years as crypto has become increasingly mainstream. We've won in a lot of ways. Like the president is launching meme coins, corporations are getting involved, and that's definitely a win. But there is part of the core ethos, the original ethos, that's been lost a little bit in the process. And it was very libertarian to begin with, very pro-agency, very pro-freedom. But yeah, to close the loop on that story, Casey, my co-founder, came up to me afterwards and said, I don't know if you convinced anyone else in the room, but you convinced me. And yeah, that we've been working together ever since.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
I feel like we should, at least for the audience here, give a little bit more of a description of what you're building here. Because we talked about this in sort of philosophical terms, but what is Euphoria as specifically as you're willing to get?
Yeah, Euphoria is a mobile first derivative trading experience. It basically started with a reimagining of what trading could be. So we kind of threw away existing concepts like perps and options and started with the prompt, how could you make the most fun trading experience possible? Just forget about everything else. And yeah, I started sketching out a bunch of designs, and they were all based on simple finger gestures that people would already be familiar with based on apps that they use. So like Tinder, Gmail, Instagram, Google Maps. And actually, the experience that we're launching with, I think everyone's sort of seen the demo at this point, is actually based on Google Maps. So it's just a trading experience based on the finger gestures that you use to use Google Maps. Zoom in, zoom out, scroll around with one finger, click on the little arrow to find where you are if you sort of like get lost, and then just tapping on the screen where you think the price will go. And the further away from the price you tap, the higher a multiplier you get if the price reaches that point. So super simple. I've got a 9-year-old son. He can use it. Like you can put it in anyone's hands with 2 or 3 words or 2 or 3 sentences explanation. That person can start trading. And so yeah, I'm really excited to bring this to market because it's a 0 to 1 and it hasn't been done before.
I'm curious who you guys are like primarily targeting with this. So I think you kind of reject the notion that complexity equals sophistication. So curious how you kind of balance reducing this like complexity with it, it's still I assume wanting to ensure like sufficient functionality and trust for kind of more serious traders. So is this kind of a both like serious trader and casual trader product, or are you just like really leaning into the people who maybe would have never traded derivatives before because of the complexity?
And initially, we're leaning into the casual trader. I think the advanced trader is reasonably well serviced at the moment. Like an advanced trader can go to Hyperliquid or Deribit. They're going to understand how that works. But a typical person who's like a retail user, maybe they buy like meme coins on Pump Fun or whatever. But if they go to Hyperliquid or Deribit, they're just instantly confused. Like, oh, okay, what's leverage? What's an order book? What's a spread? Like these concepts are confusing to normal people. If you have a friend who's not in crypto, you can easily test this out by putting Hyperliquid in their hands and seeing if they can use it. And I think Robinhood really showed what was possible outside of crypto, because Robinhood wasn't the first options trading app. There was lots of options trading apps before Robinhood, but Robinhood really simplified the experience of trading options. And in doing so, they unlocked a new, less sophisticated market segment. So all of the people across America, the unsophisticated investors using Robinhood, are there because the experience was simplified for them. So there was definitely a lesson there. And I don't think that lesson has been done in crypto yet, that when you simplify derivative trading experiences, you unlock new markets. So that's really like where we're targeting for launch.
So I think often the critique of more, say, casual games is just how how hard retention is, how fast churn can kind of churn. The easier it is to get in, maybe the easier it is to get out. And I think that's a challenge we see in crypto more broadly. So I'm curious what you guys need to get right to ensure this is a retentive experience versus more of a ephemeral novelty.
Hmm. Well, I think long-term customer retention or long-term usage of like any technology product always comes when the customer has some kind of emotional relationship with the product. So if you ask yourself why you use any of the tech products you use on a daily basis, you always find that there's an emotion at the heart of it. So for
Anger.
example,
Anger is at the core of
yeah, well,
using
anger
MetaMask right
anger
now.
is on Twitter. You want to fight, right? Twitter's outlet for your anger.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be very subtle. Like maybe you're at the beach, it looks beautiful, you're feeling like it's a special moment, and Instagram has somehow connected now with that emotion of having a special moment. So you want to like take a picture and then you want to post it on Instagram to see the variable rewards that you get in the form of likes. So initially you can kind of juice user behavior a little bit with like incentivization, but I think long term you have to develop a product that users feel emotionally connected with. And that's really what we're going for with Euphoria. There's a lot of emotions we want to connect to it. The emotion of feeling like, I want to know what's going on right now in the market. Because when you're tapping on the screen and trading, you feel very emotionally connected to the price action. Or I want to know what my friends are doing. Or maybe I just want to dissociate and zone out for a little bit. Like I'm waiting for the bus and I can take a bunch of trades in the time in the 5 minutes that I have. So yeah, really thinking about connecting Euphoria to different emotions as the long-term product market fit.
Are you guys thinking about kind of more social features along that line of building kind of emotional connection?
Absolutely. I mean, trading is social, right? By nature. Like every time you trade, someone was on the other side of that trade. It's like by nature, it's a social experience. But I think a lot of existing platforms, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like very dry, and you're segregated a lot from the people on the other side of the trade. So that's something we've been really focused on leaning into as well, making sure that you feel like there's other people on the app. When you have a win, other people can see that you've had a win. When you lose, people can see that you've lost, so you can sort of commiserate your loss with them. And if you're doing well, you should have some kind of community that you get status in the eyes of.
I mean, I could imagine how fun of an experience it would be. So the interface is like, you see the chart, and then there's a bunch of boxes, and you can basically click a box, which is like an option on the price hitting that box. And I could imagine, I have my like 10-person friend list in there, and I see like their faces on like the boxes that they're betting on or something. That would be crazy.
We have a few things that we haven't kind of announced yet, but I think the prompt for our launch party is Mario Party, but for derivatives. So we've been like working around some ideas around that.
Interesting. Cool. So we think about the other social components. You usually see this in maybe leaderboards, but my sense is maybe you guys have a new take on that. Like, what should we be? How should we be thinking about how you're approaching social?
Well, I mean, leaderboards obviously are kind of essential in these types of products, but I think it's a little bit muted if the leaderboard is just contained within the like app itself. Like that's better than nothing, but ideally you should have escape mechanics in a trading experience. So like, can I put out what I'm doing on social media, for example? Is there like external ways that I can like show people what I'm doing? So we have focused a lot around these sharing features. It's kind of in the works at the moment, but there's a lot of opportunity at the moment with these like in-X apps. So we've been looking at like maybe we could even have it so you share a win and it shows like a replay of your win like on X in the little X app box. It's kind of tricky. Like I'm not sure if it's working at the moment with mobile on X, but like that would be really cool if we can implement that.
Mini apps on X, man, been here for a while, but not really used. And
yeah.
I've
seen like 1 or 2 projects based around this. Like there was Solana Blinks, and then there was a project recently called Winks. It's such a cool idea. Like it's just like obvious thing that someone should build.
Yeah, I'm curious as you look forward. Like, are you just kind of leaning in on this kind of simple focused derivatives experience, or are there other financial primitives that could get the Euphoria treatment and kind of build out a catalog of very consumer friendly trading experiences?
Well, I ideated a whole bunch of different experiences. Some of them were based on perps, some of them based on options, some of them based on novel types of derivatives. This was the one that just had the most obvious resonation. And also there's a bit of a technical moat, like you can't just vibe code it. So we felt like this is more of a defensible first product to launch. But after we launch, there's kind of 2 directions that we can go in. One is to launch new experiences if people want variety. And the second is just to go a lot deeper into the experience that we're launching with, because there's a lot more that we can do with it. So our thinking is that we let the market tell us what it wants after we launch. I'm a big fan of just asking myself, what does the market want right now?
What does the market want right now? More green candles. Let's go.
Yeah, number go up. That's it. It's easy. I mean, can you talk a bit about the like technical underpinnings of this? And I imagine it was very hard to build. I've never seen anything like it.
So the easiest way to describe it would be like, and this is simplifying it, but to say like Hyperliquid, but with a different derivative. So like Hyperliquid, there is off-chain order book, on-chain settlement. I mean, technically the Hyperliquid order book is kind of like on-chain, but really it's not like on the EVM. So it's off-chain order book that is settling on-chain. And market makers put liquidity on chain, and in the off-chain order book, they can create orders, modify orders, cancel orders. So it's like a high-speed option style backend. And then when a user taps on the screen, they're making a market order and it matches in the order book off chain, and then it settles on chain. The Oracle is on chain. We're using Redstone as the Oracle provider. We have an in-house market maker. We also have an external market maker that we're working with. So similar to Hyperliquid, there's a vault that people can stake in to get exposure to the in-house market making, and then other market makers can plug into the order book as well to participate.
Or maybe last question before we let you go. So you talk about the TikTok generation wanting different interfaces, and there's sort of the sense, I think, that generational shifts and user behavior changes that are driven by them create new opportunities. So I'm curious if there are other behavioral shifts as we see younger and younger individuals come into the crypto space that you're looking at.
Well, I think I started off with this philosophy argument about like things becoming increasingly abstracted. I think like one thing that's relevant to mention here is this kind of collapse of all the differences between like trading, gambling, entertainment. There's like a whole bunch of things that sort of like all going into one. I think just broadly that is kind of the shift, like not being locked into, I'm going to launch like a perp dex because people already like perp, so I'm just going to like, you know, copy something that's come before, but just thinking about, okay, if we're going to cross gambling, speculation, trading, entertainment, like what can we create that is mixing all of those things together? Maybe even social media can kind of like come into this as well. So it's almost like a shift of like merging all the different things that take our attention into one.
Amazing.
Awesome. Yeah. So when I guess you're building on Mega ETH, so obviously that needs to go to mainnet before you launch. But if people are excited, where can they go? And can you give us a rough sense of timelines to this thing launching?
Yeah, the plan is to launch with Mega ETH. They're a very important partner for us. We want to be there for them day one. And if people want to get involved now, they can follow us on Twitter. They can join the Discord. We'll have like more updates and stuff coming out. But yeah, there's a community there that people can join already.
But are you guys going to launch your own L1 after you launch with Mega ETH, like all the timeline suggesting?
My plan is not to do that. I just think it's scope creep. Like I don't want to launch a blockchain. I've got a background in infra and I'm like over it. I want to concentrate on building fun experiences and not on launching chains.
Nathan, thanks for hanging out with us today, man, and best of luck as you push towards launch.
Thanks, guys. It was lovely to chat with you both.
See you, Duddy.